I know it's been a while since I've made my last video. In fact, I think it was like a year ago that I uploaded my last video. The reason why I wanted to make a new one is because I've recently noticed that quite a few of you have been stumbling across my how I got into an illustration agency video and leaving comments or subscribing, which, by the way, thank you so much for that. Thank you for trusting me with my expertise, I guess, regarding that topic. And I suppose I feel like I owe you an update on the whole topic. But yeah, the reason why I haven't made any new videos after that was because I feel like most people want to hear about my opinion or my experiences regarding illustration agencies, and my opinion and my thoughts on that topic haven't really changed. I think they haven't changed at all. And while my camera's on this tripod, I just want to film this quick little disclaimer about my life and my career, because I know a lot of people probably watch my most popular videos because they're looking for some kind of success in pursuing an illustration career. And obviously I wish everyone that success, but I don't want you to base your success off of what you see online about my life. The truth is, like, I have never been 100% financially independent. I have become increasingly more financially independent from my family. But for example, I basically don't pay rent. Like, I live in an apartment that belongs to my family, and as of this year I've started paying bills. But yeah, I'm very, very lucky and privileged to have that opportunity, obviously. And another privilege that I have is that I've never had a student loan debt. So, please take all of that into account and try and reconcile that with what you envision your life to be, or what you envision your own form of success to be. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. I would say the first major way that my life has changed is that in terms of self-promo, I think I've really taken the back seat in that department. Like, creating content for Instagram and all that stuff, I don't really bother with that anymore. I'm super lazy with that. I just don't care. I don't care about I do care about my followers, but I don't care how many followers I have anymore. And it's a really nice feeling, to be honest. I feel very liberated. It's because my agency does advertising for all the artists on their roster, and since I know that they are kind of doing that, I don't really bother with Instagram anymore. And plus, like, I've never gotten like a cool commission through Instagram, truly. So what's the point? The second way that my illustration career has changed is that communicating with clients is so much less stressful. It's not so stressful anymore. What I mean by that is, okay, of course, I still communicate with my client on ongoing projects when it comes to what the client wants, what kind of changes they want, etc., etc. But when it comes to setting boundaries or making sure the client responds to certain questions or requests on time, it's really nice, and it's such a big relief to have a to have an agent who kind of has your back, right? So, like, for example, if they notice that the client is asking for a little bit too much, like they're kind of overstepping what was agreed upon in the contract, then the agent will step in and say, hey, if you want more changes, then actually you have to pay up, right? Of course, it's good to be able to have that skill as an illustrator. Like, if you're working freelance, it's good to be able to know when to step in and set boundaries. But I have to admit that I'm not so good at that. And like I always like to say, going from that service provider who is essentially there to kiss ass and then switching to the person that has to ask for the money, like, that switch is really difficult. Like, I don't have that skill. Maybe some people do as freelancers, but I don't, and it's really nice to have someone else take over that role. Another thing that this helps with is I can be quite perfectionistic. And sometimes when I see little things that are off in a project, like I have this temptation to just go in and fix them. But having an agent remind me like, hey, you know, these are the parameters of the project and these are the things that you have to fulfill and not more than that, like it really stops me from overworking. In terms of project fees, I definitely get paid more than I did before. I would say that the majority of my projects have not been for under 2,000 euros per project. And yeah, that helps a lot. I would say the main reason why most of my projects haven't been under this fee is because my agent offers kind of like a package deal, right? So most of my projects have been, for example, like 20 illustrations per project or like 10 illustrations per that project, right? And so, of course, the fee is higher. Not gonna lie, prices in illustration do not look great. Many clients are not willing to necessarily pay the standard that various illustration organizations set for certain illustrations. Even my agency recognizes that. So just because you're part of an agency doesn't mean that the prices in illustration are any better. In terms of the projects that I get, now that I'm part of an agency, I would say I've been getting more interesting projects, like projects where the subject matter is something that I'm actually interested in, so social justice and environment and stuff like that. And it feels overall like the projects are more serious, the commissions are more serious. And that's not to say that my past clients, like pre-agency, haven't been serious. Like, of course, I've had some great clients in the past who really respected my work, but overall I get less of these like unserious requests, you know, the kind where someone's like, oh, I really like this drawing, can you do something like this for like $10, you know, that kind of stuff. One thing to keep in mind is that obviously my agency is a business and every project that I do, they get a 30% cut. But for me, it's worth it because they find the projects for me and they are able to step in and take on kind of like that managing role, which I'm very thankful for. Another thing, of course, is that I have to pay agency fees, like for advertising and stuff. Anyway, let's get into a project review of 2021 since being signed to an agency. So the first project I did was, well, actually it was in October 2020. And I actually did nothing at all because the client just wanted to license one of my illustrations for a charity auction. So my agency oversaw that and set up the contract, yada, yada, yada. The second project that I did in like February 2021 was with Masklab, a company in Hong Kong that makes FFP2 masks. They often collaborate with artists and illustrators to make the mask designs. So this was actually a collaboration. I did 3 designs overall, and my agency was actually not involved with this because they told me we like to get involved in projects that are more commercial with like bigger clients. And so even though in the contract that I signed with my agency, it does say that my agency gets 30% of every project that I do, it's not, they won't necessarily like apply that clause absolutely like in every single case, right? It really depends on your relationship with your agency. So if you receive a contract from your agency, like you don't have to accept the clauses, you don't have to sign the contract, right? But I'm just letting you know that a lot of agencies do have this clause of like, okay, we get 30% of every project that you do, but it doesn't, at least in my case, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will apply that. The third project that I did was in May 2021. I did an editorial illustration for Spectre Journal. The topic was on eco-socialism. And again, my agency was not involved with this. And yeah, because it was a smaller project and a smaller client. And this was actually a really chill project because the commissioner was like, I like this illustration, but I don't want there to be any people in it. It would be better if there were no people in it. So all I did was take the existing illustration and make a version of it that had no people in it. And so it was really chill, and I really enjoyed this project. The next project I did was for the Ban Ki-moon Center in Vienna, Austria. This was a project that my agency found for me, and so they also oversaw the entire project. And I'm not quite sure how to categorize this project, but basically the Ban Ki-moon Center is an organization that mentors people, and they set up these projects where project participants can outline a humanitarian project that works towards one of the sustainable development goals. And these illustrations were there just to basically illustrate what each of these projects were about. So yeah, I had 2 weeks to complete 33 illustrations. It was a very intense time, but I really liked it because it was really interesting, and it gave me a lot of hope in the world. And if you are interested in how I got through that time, you may watch this video. Then at the end of summer in August, again, this has nothing to do with my agency, but I got an art grant essentially from the German government, and that was super sweet because I did like 3 watercolor illustrations and 1 mural while I was in Hong Kong. So yeah, that was fun, and it really definitely helped me as an artist. And I feel really lucky and privileged that I get to live in a country that incentivizes artists like that. Then in September, I got another project from the Ban Ki-moon Center Vienna, this time for projects based out of Latin America. Yeah, it was the same concept, just make illustrations for this time 20 project participants outlining humanitarian projects working towards one of the sustainable development goals. And again, it was very interesting, and I loved reading about these projects. It gave me a lot of hope to read about women in Latin America fighting the patriarchy. I actually got a little bit emotional there because some of these projects like really moved me. But anyway, this project was really cool. This commission was really cool because in this case, the client was kind of like, we have a bigger budget this time. I feel really, really lucky because, you know, most clients, they don't offer you more money. Usually you have to ask for it. Then the second and last project that I did in 2021 was for Amnesty International Austria. A bunch of other illustrators from my agency took part in this project. We basically did illustrations for a calendar. And then the last project that I did last year, was 12 horoscope illustrations for a women's lifestyle magazine in Austria called Maxima. And that was a really fun project again because I got to draw lots of cool, stylish women in different body shapes and also in different ages. Okay, so that was all the projects I did in 2021. I will admit that this year has been going super slow for some reason. I only recently started on my first official project, which is a sex education brochure for a youth advisory organization in Vienna. If you're wondering why a lot of my projects are based out of Austria, it's because my agency is based in Vienna, Austria, and I am based in Germany. And going forward, I hope that my agent is able to find more projects for us illustrators, and maybe I'll work on doing a little bit more self-promo. Like I said, I've been quite lazy about that. And other than that, I'd like to work on more personal projects, more watercolor illustrations. My grant enabled me to buy more materials, so I'd like to use more of that. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was insightful and helpful in any way. I'll see you next time. I don't know when that is, but thank you. Bye!